Welcome to the Hult Center podcast. I'm Rich Hobby, Director of Marketing, and I'm so thrilled to be speaking with our next incredible artist performing in our 10 by 10 series on March 24th, Kyshona. Kyshona, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm so pumped to come out west. So we're coming from Alaska down to Washington, down to Oregon. So we are so ready to see all the sights. We realize it might be colder there than it is here in the South, in Tennessee, but we've got our base layers and we are ready.
Now, thank you for joining us today. So I'm so excited to have you here on March 24th. And to kick things off, I have to ask you a question about your origins as an artist. I've read that you started with the interesting connection of music and therapy. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I started my career in music as a music therapist. So I went to college for oboe and music therapy. And I thought I would be a professor teaching, other future therapists how to be a therapist. But I honestly, when I was coming up in the late 1900s, we were not talking about, self-care. So songwriting was the thing that I used as my own healing. And I learned how to write when I was with my patients. I was working in Atlanta in mental health hospitals. A lot of my patients were about my age. They were poets and hip hop artists, and I started writing with them. So that was, they were kind of my teachers. And I, in the 2014 or 15, I had to tap out and just take a little mental break. And I figured, let's just see what this songwriting world looks like. And I've been doing it now ever since, full time. So I still do music therapy today, but it's more on my terms, and it's more using the skills that I've learned as a songwriter here in Nashville and bringing that into a room, a setting with people that might be in recovery or are experiencing houselessness with adolescents. So I'm still using my skills, but more on the songwriting effort than the neurological effort.
That's so interesting to hear and such a fascinating touch point. Can you tell us a little bit about any of the impacts that you've seen your work in therapy have?
You know what? It's more intention. So there are so many songwriters that I've met and encountered over the years that have a heart for community and love to do songwriting with people in the community. But what I find is just the intention. I'm coming with the intention of a music therapist that we're not trying to write a hit song. It's not really about the song. It's more about the process of getting to the song. The definition of music therapy is the use of music to achieve non-musical goals. So the songwriting experience is more for us to speak about difficult pasts, to work through trauma, to come up even with mantras for oneself that they can turn to when they are in a dark spot. Even problem solving can come up when you're writing music with people with that therapeutic, nugget in mind. So it looks the same, between a songwriter and Kyshona, the music therapist songwriter. It looks the same. It's just the intention is different. And it is more like I have to remove myself as an artist from the room, and I am there just to support those in front of me.
Backing up just a bit, I love hearing about that moment when artists develop and finding out kind of what inspired them. What was it in your life that kicked off this inspiration and drive to be in music?
My house was always full of music. There was always music happening. My dad plays guitar, and he played in gospel quartets. So he was always practicing, playing. I talk about this often, but the solo to Hello by Lionel Richie is ingrained in me because that's all my father would play over and over again. It was just that guitar solo. And so I grew up hearing him in the living room with his amps turned up loud, just playing all the time. And on the weekends, music was always playing when it was time to clean the house. If we were gathering for family events, music always happened. We just Either we ended up at church and my grandparents all sang in the choirs, or the family would be singing around, you know, the dining room table. Music was just always a part of who I was. I think the thing that got me into it, though, is my Aunt Queen. She passed away when I was like in third, fourth grade, and she was my favorite aunt. Like I am now older than she ever lived to be, but she just had this wisdom about her and a calmness about her. And after she passed, my mother asked me if I wanted to take piano lessons as a way to connect with her, and that connection is not stopped. It's like I latched on to music, and that is the thing. That is who I am, what I do.
Da, da, da. Yeah, I'm pouring out my heart, 'cause I want you to see it. I know you're picking me apart, but you ain't gotta speak it. Why don't you listen? Why won't you listen?
Was there ever a time as you were learning your craft where you noticed that you just had something special going on?
You know what? I don't know if it ever happened to me on a stage. I feel like it happened to me in hospital rooms, just with clients saying, you know, oh, your voice is very soothing. When you sing this song, it makes me feel this way. I think that's when I realized, because I've never thought of myself as a singer. I've always thought of myself as a storyteller. The voice for me was just a tool, you know, like to help people get through pain management or to help like reminisce over memories. But I recall just patients telling me, I love it when you hum this song. I knew that I could use my voice in a different way. Yeah, I still struggle with, you know, imposter syndrome because I'm considered a singer, and I'm like, no. And the only reason I started playing guitar was because of music therapy. So I would not be an artist if I hadn't been a music therapist first.
I've seen the same guitar featured in some of your photos, and I have to ask, do you have a special relationship with a particular instrument that you play with?
I've had a few. All my instruments are very special to me, but most recently I've partnered up with Takamine. So they've seen me play. I used to play a harmony, which is hanging in the den. I still write on my harmony. And my harmony guitar is, it was a rebuild by Scott Baxendale in Athens, Georgia. And it just has this warmth to it. I love an electric, but it's something about having an acoustic to your body. Like, I can feel the vibrations. For me, it feels weird playing an electric instrument because I don't feel the vibrations the same. But I'm hard on guitars. That's why I couldn't play the harmony anymore. I am just like, I dig in. I knock things out of tune. So Takamine was like, hey girl, we see you. And that harmony needs to stay in the house. Because why don't you take this Takamine? You can beat it up all you want and it'll still stay in. So yeah.
So you're not going for that Willie Nelson look quite yet?
No, not yet. I'm going to wait till I'm 60 for that, yeah.
Something else that stood out to me about your story is that I learned that you also oversee a nonprofit known as Your Song. Can you tell us more about that project and what it means to you?
Your Song is a therapeutic songwriting organization, and it started in 2020, right in the midst of the pandemic. 2020, I had just released my album, Listen, and the plan was we were going to be on the road touring, and I was going to see all these new countries. It was going to be amazing. And then when we were grounded and we're inside, I realized, like, man, I'm lonely. It's really hard not being able to connect to the audience because that's where I would recharge. I knew my purpose when I was in front of an audience, right? I knew what my mission was, but without an audience, I was like, what am I even making music for? So I just reached out to my fans and said, hey, if you're struggling, I know I'm struggling mentally. I have this skill I can offer you where I can help people write a song. You don't even have to have any musical experience. And it started there. And then it just snowballed into, from individual writes with people from all over the world, really. It was amazing writing with people in the UK, in South America, but then it's snowballed now from being virtual to me working in person with a lot of groups. Organizations around the country have gotten wind of what I do. So when I'm in town touring, we usually will ask the performing arts centers I'm playing at, hey, is there any organizations you would like for Kyshona for me to come and do a therapeutic writing group with? And that is, again, how I feel like I am planting myself in a community rather than just flying through town, you know. How can I plant little seeds of positivity around the country?
I'm so lucky to have seen you perform live, but was wondering if you might be able to share what kind of show will audiences be getting on March 24th? Who will be performing with you?
I'm going to have two of my very good friends. I'm going to have Nikki Conley singing with me on all the tenor parts. And then I want to have my friend Shannon Labrie is going to be singing all the high soprano parts. And both of these women are songwriters and artists in their own right. So I am honored when I get to bring them with me on the road, because it's not only fun, but like I know when I'm around other artists, they understand the journey of a tour, you know. So our live shows are full of storytelling. I'm sure you can tell I'm a little bit of a chatty Cathy. I love to tell a story. So it's a little storytelling, and it's a little a lot of songs, a lot of harmonies, a lot of Kyshona backing off and letting Shannon and Nikki take the lead on things so I can receive at that moment. You know, I love listening to the two of them just use their voices. And that is honestly, our shows are ones that make people think. We hope that people leave the show with a new perspective on how to walk around the world and how to see one another and see the strangers that we encounter every day.
You know you wanna help, but you're deaf to the mission. Even when you see the hand down, you pretend it's my decision. Don't try and say that our struggle's the same. Don't lie and tell me I'm ready for change.
Have you all developed any fun habits or traditions when you're touring?
Oh, yeah. We sage a lot in the car. We do a lot of sage. We do a lot of rose water. You know, the immediate thing I'm thinking of is before we walk on any stage, we make sure that because it can be a little, I like to be nervous. If I'm not nervous before a show, then I'm worried about the show. So something we always try to do is just touch and agree. We say touch and agree. We put our hands on one another and we just say the mantra that I have, which we are a voice in a vessel for those who feel lost, forgotten, silenced, and who are hurting. And we always say to one another, let's get out of the way. Whatever the audience needs to hear, may they hear it. If we are to receive something from the audience, may we receive it. So it's a little ceremonial in that aspect of like, let's get out of the way. We're just going to show up and do what we do with intention behind it. Now, when we're not on stage, we're always looking for the best donut spot in town. So if you have any suggestions, let us know. Nikki has a nice little rolling tally going in her phone of who the winner would be, what town has the best donuts. But we love finding sweet little like coffee shops, bookstores. We love a good bookstore, and just we have to watch ourselves with the amount of books we come back with. But those are our main things, donuts and books.
Well, just a heads up that we do have a Voodoo Donuts about a block from the venue.
Danger, danger, yes. Nikki's gonna be psyched.
After seeing you live, I have to admit I had one of your songs stuck in my head for weeks. So we need to talk about Nighttime Animals. Can you tell us about how that song came to be?
Nighttime Animal. I wrote that song with my friend Zach Smith. ZG Smith is his artist name. And Zach had the little like ooh idea and like a little bit of a verse, and he invited me in to finish writing it with him. And we were just thinking about the freedom that nighttime animals have. They have so much autonomy over their bodies and who they are. There's nothing governing them but the moon. There's no, we are not surprised when a raccoon digs in our trash and knocks a trash can over. We're not surprised when a bear hunts for food. We're not surprised by possums, crossing the street, creeping around at night. But when we think about how free nighttime animals are versus us humans, people that are walking around the world, there's so many legislations against us. There's so many laws against us, and what's the word I'm looking for? Biases. There's so much bias people have against us in our bodies that we can't always walk around the world that free. So I love to ask the audience right before we play it, or even after, what's your nighttime animal? If you could be any animal that roamed around at night, who would it be? And it's always amazing to hear what people say, especially depending on the region we're in, vastly different answers.
And we always love hearing from artists about the advice that they'd give to creatives who may be on the fence about going all in their artistic endeavors. What advice would you give to someone afraid to take that next step?
I think it's taken me years to figure this out, but I would tell anybody, make sure you're doing it for you, not for the machine. To be an artist is to be a historian. You are allowed into spaces not everybody gets the opportunity and the privilege to walk into, and you're given a microphone. Not everybody gets the opportunity to use their voice. So I like to always encourage folks, people will tell you to think about brand, but forget brand. What's your purpose? So when you're writing, when you are performing, when you are touring, what's the purpose you want to put behind your music? And a lot of times if you have a mission statement for yourself or just a mission in general, if you can let the music serve that mission, I think you will have longevity in this career of being an artist and a creator of music, because your music serves something bigger than the machine.
Kyshona, this was such a pleasure, and I personally cannot wait to have you here at the Hult Center on March 24th. And a quick reminder to all that each and every ticket is only $10, and those can be found at hultcenter.org. Kyshona, thank you again for your time, and we can't wait to see you here live.
We are pumped, donuts and all. Yes.
Why don't you listen?